Isn't that illegal?
Atheism can be a bit negative sometimes, so I've got something to cheer you up. Unfortunately, I'm going to start with the same old shit. The good news is, there is no God. Okay, that's that out of the way. That's not very original, and it's obviously, to some people, that's depressing. Because if there is no God, you don't get to meet God. That means you don't get your own cloud in heaven. You don't get some nice wings to float around on. But there are some things, some great things, that having no heaven and no hell can do for you. Number one, this is the most important of all. Once you're dead, once you are gone, you won't have to listen to gospel music ever again. All that hallelujah shit will be over and done with for good once you die. No more singing. Number two, when you die, you won't have to listen to Christians going on and on about God anymore. Because obviously, if you go to heaven, they're going to be on about Him all the fucking time. God did this, God did that, He's just over there now, He's coming for a visit later on. Did you see Him? He was over there. He's come round, He's on his rounds. No more of that. No going to heaven. None of that. As soon as your heart stops, all that Christian crap stops too. Because death, this is my philosophy on death, death is like the quiet moment just after you do a loud fart in the elevator. For a split second, time stops. Can you hear it? It all goes quiet. That's how quiet death is. Another advantage of having no God. You won't be living in a place where smoking, drinking and sex are banned. Now, do you really want to go to a place like that? No fatty foods, no unhealthy diet. Do you know what that means? That means no pizza, no Jack Daniels, no vodka, no beer. No beer. How could there be a hell worse than a place with no beer? Anyway, someone like God will never let you drink so much beer it was leaking out of your ears before you stagger home and spew it all over the toilet. Ralph and Huey, I'll explain that to those who don't know about that. Ralph and Huey are never mentioned in the Bible. But the good news is, you can do all that on earth as much as you like, and the only punishment that you'll get is liver failure. That and marriage breakdown, and the occasional weird stain on your t-shirt that won't come out. But that's your choice. You can decide whether that happens to you. And there will be no consequences, well, nothing as bad as sticking a meat hook up your backside and lowering you over hot coals for 1,000,000 years just because you want a few drinks with your mates down the pub. No consequences. That's the advantage of no heaven and no hell. But those are the big things, the quite big things. There's obviously lots of little things, tiny things that Christians still call sins, and those little things, they won't matter either. So just because you didn't apologise to Jesus when some idiot trod on your foot and you called him a clumsy bastard, you don't have to be afraid that you're going to burn in hell for that. Just for that crazy little thing like that. Another example, if your wife invites her friends round just when you want to watch a late night football, what a pain in the arse that is. But you won't be tortured for 1,000,000,000 years just because you call her a thoughtless bitch when she's not there, out of earshot. It won't matter. You won't need to be forgiven. If there's no God, no heaven, no hell, there's no consequences. You won't need to be forgiven for calling her a bitch when she's not listening. If you call her a thoughtless bitch when she is listening, then you might need to be forgiven. But you won't need God's forgiveness. It'll be a lot worse than that. But you can still get revenge on her. You get a bit of salt, light sprinkling of salt, maybe some ground up laxatives, and shove in all that food she's brought round for her friends to eat while they watch Titanic for the 50th fucking time. It might be naughty, but you'll get away with it, because there's no Satan to turn up the gas burners an extra degree as a consequence. Here's one for the men. I am one. If you walk down the street and stare at some woman's tits, it's okay. It's not a problem. If nobody sees you, nobody minds. You can have all the lustful thoughts that you want. It's not a sin. It's human nature. No praying to God to forgive you for worshipping the breasts. Because don't forget, it says in the Bible, do not worship false gods. It doesn't say anything about worshipping false breasts. So you can do it. And you can do it anyway, even if you couldn't do it. Because there is no God. Because it's all shit. It's not in the Bible anyway. I've checked. Women. One for the women, just to be fair and equal. Women. If you let your fingers do the walking when you're looking at a picture of Tom Cruise, sort of, or even Penelope Cruz, don't worry, just give them a good wash afterwards, and there's no need to pray, because you won't be going to hell either. And you don't even need to worry about it, because most women do it. Well, all the ones in my video collection do it anyway, so it's not a sin, apparently. And even if it is a sin, like I say, who's going to punish you for it? No one. Here are some really important points. What you do say here. If you thought that global warming was God's punishment, or the second coming of Jesus, you don't need to worry either. Just be happy. It's just the melting of the polar ice caps, and it's a man-made thing, and by the time all the Christians have worked that out, it'll be too late to stop it anyway. We're all going to drown. So don't worry about it. 2 words of advice on that. Buy an umbrella and move away from the coast, because it's going to get a bit wet in the next few years. Here's the sea level. Or it could get hot. Or it might. Or both. Hot and wet. Just as bad. Global warming is a bit weird, that. Nobody can explain it. Number 2. Tsunamis and earthquakes. They're natural. They're not brought on by God. So move away from the earthquake zones. That's my top tip for today. San Andreas fault, it's due for a big one any time now. And it's not the final judgment. It's not Jesus come back to destroy the earth and take all his friends away with him. It's just tectonic plates moving around. That's science. I do science, me. Finally. It's not actually finally, because there's quite a big paragraph below it, but we're getting there. If you're a bit worried that although you believe in God, you might have believed in the wrong God, don't worry, all gods are the same. They aren't there. And in times of crisis, they can't help you. So, when people say, don't panic, God's there for you, don't listen to them. Panic! So if the gods are not there, or God isn't there, what can you do instead of pray? Well, instead of just sitting there with your hands up together, no, that's not right. Instead of just sitting there with your hands together, or up in the air, lean forward, like this, stand up, walk out the door, get out there, and do something about it. You only get one life. There's no afterlife. So even though you're not going to burn in hell, you won't get rewarded in heaven either. So make the most of your life. It's all you've got, but you can do a lot with it if you try. So just be happy, like me. Because if you don't, you've only got yourself to blame. Except if you got cancer, of course. That's not your fault. It's a bit of a downer, that is.
Isn't that illegal?
Censor your kid's ideas. Censor your child's inspiration. Censor all that. Expect a really heavy return spring, because you know what? That kid's going to turn her on you, and you're never, ever going to have a part of his life again.
Casting off the chains of the world.
But enough about me.